Hey everyone, welcome to Creepcrafts. If it's creepy, spooky, or just straight up paranormal, we're talking about it here. If that's your kind of vibe, hit that subscribe button. When the Jeffrey Epstein court documents were finally unsealed, it felt like the entire world held its breath. We were promised a reckoning. We were promised a list that would bring down the untouchable elite, politicians, billionaires, royalty, and Hollywood icons. And then the names dropped. Among the hundreds of pages of unsealed depositions and evidence, one name caused the internet to absolutely spontaneously combust: Michael Jackson, the king of pop, a man whose own legacy is already incredibly complicated and hotly debated. Instantly, the rumors exploded. Viral videos claimed he was a regular on the island. Conspiracy threads argued he was secretly fighting the elite. So what exactly is Michael Jackson's connection to the most notorious criminal network in modern history? Was he a participant? Was he a target? Or was he just another trophy on Jeffrey Epstein's wall? Let's start with what the internet claims happened versus what the legal documents actually say. If you spend 5 minutes scrolling online, you'll find lists claiming Michael Jackson was a frequent flyer on the so-called Lolita Express, Epstein's private jet. You will see people claiming he visited Little St. James, the infamous private island. But when you open the unsealed court documents from the defamation lawsuit involving Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre, the narrative changes entirely. Jackson's name doesn't appear in flight logs. It doesn't appear in island visitor books. His name appears in exactly one place: the sworn deposition of Johanna Sjoberg, one of Epstein's most prominent victims. In her 2016 testimony, lawyers were grilling Sjoberg about the high-profile celebrities she was forced to interact with. They asked her point-blank if she ever met Michael Jackson. She said yes. She testified that she met the pop star at Epstein's sprawling mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. Naturally, the lawyers asked the most critical, damning follow-up question possible: did she massage him? Her answer, under penalty of perjury, was 2 words: I did not. Now, if the victim herself testified that nothing happened with Jackson, why did the internet collectively decide he was deeply involved? It comes down to a mix of genuine newly released evidence and completely fabricated rumors. Let's look at the real evidence first. In late 2025 and early 2026, the Department of Justice released a new batch of files and photographs seized from Epstein's properties. And yes, Michael Jackson is in them. There are photos showing Jackson standing next to former President Bill Clinton and posing for a picture with Epstein in front of a painting. So the evidence undeniably proves that Jackson was physically present in Epstein's orbit. He was in the house. He took the photos. But then the internet took that grain of truth and mutated it. People started sharing screenshots of fake flight logs on Twitter and Reddit, splicing Michael Jackson's name into the manifests. Even crazier, a massive viral video circulated claiming to be leaked audio of Macaulay Culkin. The audio supposedly featured Culkin crying, saying that Michael Jackson used to go to Epstein's properties to rescue children from the abuse. It sounded insane because it was. Fact-checkers quickly proved that the Culkin audio was 100% AI-generated. It never happened. But by the time the truth came out, millions of people had already bought into the narrative. So, if Jackson wasn't participating in the crimes, and he certainly wasn't a secret vigilante rescuing people, why was he there? What was his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? To understand this, you have to understand how Epstein operated. Jeffrey Epstein was a predator, yes, but he was also a master manipulator and a chronic social climber. He collected famous people the way a hunter collects taxidermy. Epstein's entire facade, his ability to lure in victims and avoid suspicion for so long, relied on the illusion of prestige. He surrounded himself with billionaires, Nobel Prize-winning scientists, royalty, and A-list celebrities. Financial advisors and wealth managers frequently introduced high-net-worth clients to Epstein, pitching him as a brilliant money man.
It is highly likely that Jackson, who went through intense financial restructuring in the early 2000s, was brought into Epstein's orbit by a mutual contact. There is zero evidence of a deep, ongoing friendship. No letters, no continuous business partnerships, no trail of phone calls. Jackson was, for all intents and purposes, a fleeting guest, a famous face Epstein could point to and say, "Look who I had over for dinner." This brings us to one of the most bizarre chapters of this whole saga, how Michael Jackson's name got dragged into celebrity feuds related to Epstein. If you remember the early 2000s, Jackson was in a massive, highly public war with Sony Music and its then head, Tommy Mottola. Jackson was publicly calling out executives, calling the industry corrupt, and claiming there was a dark conspiracy against him. Fast forward to the Epstein files unsealing, and conspiracy theorists retroactively merged these two events. A massive rumor spread claiming that Jackson's feud with the music industry wasn't about record royalties at all. The rumor claimed Jackson had discovered an elite Hollywood trafficking ring connected to Epstein, and that he was silenced before he could expose them. People even started looping in other celebrities, claiming Jackson was feuding with powerful media moguls like Oprah Winfrey because she was allegedly part of this same elite circle protecting Epstein. Let me be incredibly clear. None of this is supported by a single shred of documentary evidence. Jackson's disputes in the early 2000s were strictly about catalog rights, contract disputes, and his own legal battles. The idea that he was a rogue agent trying to dismantle Epstein's empire is a Hollywood movie plot, not reality. So when the FBI and the Southern District of New York finally ripped Epstein's criminal enterprise down to the studs, what did the actual official investigation find regarding Michael Jackson? Nothing. The investigation seized black books, hard drives, decades of financial records, and interviewed countless victims. They found the men who actively participated in the abuse. They found the recruiters. They found the financial enablers. Michael Jackson was not classified as a co-conspirator. He was not classified as a John Doe requiring criminal protection. The investigation found exactly what Johanna Schoberg testified to. He was a guy who showed up to a house in Palm Beach, took a photo, and left. Because of how the internet talks about this, people often ask, so was Michael Jackson found innocent in the Epstein case? Legally speaking, that's the wrong question. You can only be found innocent if you are actually accused of a crime. In the context of the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking network, Michael Jackson was never a suspect. He was never indicted, never investigated by the FBI for this specific ring, and never accused by a single survivor of Epstein's abuse. But we have to be completely objective here. Is there a fishy part to this? Does his presence still raise eyebrows? Absolutely. Even if you are completely cleared of any legal wrongdoing, just being in Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach is a massive red flag in the court of public opinion. It raises deeply uncomfortable questions about the circles these mega celebrities run in. Why was Michael Jackson taking meetings with a man who, even before his first arrest, had a reputation in high society as a deeply strange, secretive figure? Why was he posing for photos with Bill Clinton in that specific house? The eyebrow-raising part isn't that Jackson committed a crime there. The fishy part is the sheer normalization of Epstein. It shows how easily a monster was able to seamlessly blend into the highest tiers of pop culture and politics, casually hosting the biggest pop star on the planet in the very same house where unspeakable things were happening behind closed doors.
So, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Creepcrafts. It really helps the channel grow. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.